I'm John Lee with St. Louis Real Estate Investors Association members, guests. We're really happy to have Miss Catherine Davis here on our first Friday of the month. And she's always full of good stuff and some stuff that she just has to laugh about. So,
Thank you. I was just telling John and Laura that I don't have a lot new today. John asked me about the status of the squatter case that was in the news. The trial court ruled in favor of the property owner because at that level of court, you can't determine constitutionality. That has to go to the Court of Appeals. So this has teed it up for our city defenders, which is the not-for-profit that represents the property occupants, to go to the Court of Appeals. And I wish it wasn't on these facts because it's not good facts. It looks to me from what I read about it that these people were not squatters. They were people who were in there under a right of possession from a prior owner, and that's not a squatter situation. If you buy a property and someone's in there and they were allowed to be in there by the prior owner or an owner prior to that or whatever, they're not a squatter. Their right of possession was granted lawfully. A squatter is someone who is not in there with any kind of permission from anyone. It's, the classic situation is it's the homeless guy who breaks in and starts to burn the building down. The other situation that we're seeing in the squatter cases is where someone fraudulently leases the property to someone and the person doesn't realize it, and then the owner comes along and says, well, I didn't put you in there. Those things honestly usually get resolved at the courthouse because once everybody realizes that it's a mistake, they can often be settled. One of the first ones we had was in the city, and the poor woman thought she bought the property, but it turned out she didn't buy the property. The person who sold it to her didn't own the property. She didn't close at a title company. She had already started doing work on the house and spent money. So that was sad, but caveat emptor, buyer beware, close at a title company, make sure um, that the person you're paying money to really has the title and can convey it to you. So we'll follow that and we'll see what happens. And I have nothing new on, now I can't remember the case, but it was out of Texas. It was the case where everybody had to file all their private information about their LLCs and everything. That's still on a stay as far as I know. There has been so much interesting litigation that I have been following that I've got a tag on that to alert me, but I haven't heard anything. So hopefully I won't miss it. If anybody else hears of anything with respect to that, please ping me and let me know. We're just kind of moving along quietly in St. Louis County, very busy. The courts are extremely busy, I can tell you. Usually by this time of year, it starts to drop off a little bit, and it doesn't seem to be doing that. So we are on our eviction dockets making people deals that we wouldn't ordinarily give just because we would have to wait that long for a trial date. So, and then at a trial, which we're generally going to win if the person owes rent, then we still have to wait 10 days after that. So we're giving people deals like end of the month, trying to get them to make a payment mid-month, that kind of stuff, just to avoid having to go to trial in November, which is longer than that would be. And once we nail them down to a consent judgment, they're nailed down to a consent judgment. And if they don't comply with the terms, we can file for the sheriff. The city is its usual Marx Brothers movie, state of hilariousness. I'm sure you've read that the sheriff has been having some issues. And on top of that, their copper wires got stolen for the phone system in the civil courts building, which is where the sheriff's office is. So if you have noticed a delay in getting sheriff calls for your eviction in the city, it's because they don't have phone service. So they are telling us that they can get voicemails and they will call you back. So if you get a call from the sheriff saying, I want to schedule your eviction, call them back and leave a voicemail and a good number where they can reach you. And supposedly they will call you back. I know they are behind. They've got that plus the legal problems of the sheriff to deal with. They're understaffed. But they are able to get voicemails, we know now. So, good luck. If we can help you, call us. We go down to the city 2 or 3 times a week, and we're happy to stop in at the sheriff and physically in person ask them what's going on with an eviction. But expect to wait a few days longer than usual before it gets scheduled because of all their troubles. My other counties are all pretty quiet right now, so I don't want to say anything and jinx them. Does anybody have any questions?
Wow. So the copper got stolen?
The copper, yeah, I'm sure you've heard
Gosh.
about these copper thefts. And apparently, I mean, if you go down to the city courthouse, there's just like rows, banks of utility trucks and Ameren trucks and Spire, and I don't know what else. And what I've been told, and this is just something I've heard around the courthouse, which is a notorious place for gossip, but what I'm told is that these wires are all in tunnels. There's all these tunnels underneath. And I've heard of the tunnels before, but at the beginning of losing their phone service, they couldn't even figure out where the wires had been stolen from. And they had to, I guess, prowl around in all these tunnels and try to figure it out. And you can see where they're digging up corners and, doing all this stuff. I mean, like I said, it's the usual Marx Brothers movie in the city. It's
Oh,
just, uh,
that, that's insane. I couldn't even imagine that because I didn't think copper was that big a commodity right now. I know we had some problems a few years ago, but
oh,
right
it is
now,
now because of the
is it?
tariffs. The price has gone back up again.
Oh,
And yeah, it's a big thing again now. And a lot of copper thefts are occurring. So, secure your copper lines if you have any, or um, see what you can do. But yeah, it's been a big problem
so
recently.
how long are the actual trials going now then? Because that would extend it further, is what it sounds like. And they were,
Well, our trial dates in the city are still good. It's just once we get the judgment, whether it's by trial or on a docket, and we're ready to file for the sheriff, the procedure in the city is we put the contact person, John Lee, and your phone number on the execution. And we file it. And then once it gets issued by the clerk, we walk it down to the sheriff. And then they call you to schedule the day and time when they're going to come out and, supervise you changing the locks and put the people out and that kind of thing. And since their phones don't work, you can't call. If you call them, you can leave a voicemail, but I guess they can't call out and they're having to use cells. I'm not really 100% sure what's going on. They have told us to tell clients, leave a voicemail and we will call them back. But for the first few days, I think they didn't even really have a plan and they were just trying to figure out what was going on.
that's crazy. It's just unbelievable somebody would do that.
It's, they've stolen copper before from the 911 system and, all kinds of things. So that's,
Wow.
it is bad. It's,
There must be a special place for those people someday.
it's, it's
It's really
really,
bad. Yeah.
you've really sunk pretty low, I think, if you have to steal copper,
Yes.
especially if you have to go down into those tunnels in the city, which I understand are kind of, frightening and have rats and, that kind
Well,
of
they
thing.
wouldn't have to take them too far if they get caught to jail, I guess. Is what they're
No, they the tunnels might be nicer than the jail. Not sure about that one, but yeah.
right.
We do at least now have a good prosecutor in the city who, if they catch them, will prosecute them. The warrants aren't just sitting in somebody's email box. And the sheriffs are in the civil courts building, which is now called the Cahill. The prosecutors are in the Carnahan across the street. And I think if I've heard the gossip correctly, I think the Carnahan still has phones. So the prosecutors have phones.
Okay. Well, at least we all got cell phones nowadays, or for
Right,
for the
right.
most part.
Yeah. I
Wow.
imagine the sheriff probably bought some burners and gave them to their clerks so that they could
Great
call
idea.
everybody.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Wow. I think Dana has a question here. Is that
Okay.
Dana, you got your hand up? Do you have a question here for Kathy? Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, hello everyone. This is
Hi.
James. Dana's
James.
in the background.
Okay.
But I had a question concerning we have a property in North County and it's in Bellefontaine Neighbors, but the street that it's on is maintained by the county. And they gave us a letter stating that, and we knew it was coming, but we didn't know it was coming this soon, that they're supposed to do improvements on that street will make it ADA compliant and some widen the street, do some other things there. And so they said they're gonna send us an offer because they need easement And so they said, you can accept the offer. If you choose not to accept it, then you can go, Kathy, you can go through the rigmarole, whatever, trying to
Mhm.
negotiate. But my
Yeah.
question is, in your past experience, would it be worth it to go through that, or just take the offer that they give you, or what?
Well, I think, it might depend on what the offer is and what they're taking. Are they taking your property permanently?
Yeah, they're going to take part of the front of the of my front yard.
Um,
Now, how many feet? I don't know.
yeah. We might have to wait until you get the offer and look at it and see if we think it's fair. And I don't really do those, but I will get you the name of a lawyer who can advise you if we think it's just inadequate and you need to get someone. And usually those condemnation lawyers, they will take a percentage of the amount they collect for you over the initial offer. So let's say you get offered $10,000 and the condemnation lawyer gets it up to 40,000. They'll keep typically 10,000, a third of the extra 30, and you'll get the rest. So
Okay, got you.
get the offer. If it seems like you're not sure or it seems low, call me. We'll talk about it and I'll give you the name of a condemnation lawyer.
Okay.
Okay.
And thank you. And another quick question: is anybody on here, if they know of a very good a good CPA that deals with, that is very astute on taxes and real estate, and we do have a CPA, but we're thinking about seeking somebody else. So if you know somebody, please reach out to us, let us know.
Well, I actually have people that I rent space to in my office, Mary Aronson and Kelly Schaefer, and you can call my main phone number,
Okay,
314-962.
you got it.
We have it.
Okay,
1115.
Oh, go ahead and repeat it, please.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
314-962-1115 and ask for Mary or Kelly and their CPAs. I use them, they're good, they do a good job. And this is a good time of the year to switch because they're not that busy right now. Even the late filers have gotten filed, I think, more or less, and so they've got a little bit of a lull.
Yeah, we were forced a couple weeks ago to finish it up. We're one of those, and I
Yeah.
hate to say it, but it's just the way it is. And so, yeah, this is a great time. Thank you for the recommendation. We have people
Sure.
ask all the time, Kathy. So
Yeah. That's
okay,
who I would start with.
okay,
Okay,
well,
guys,
thank
I
you.
have to go downtown and continue with foreclosure.
Thank you so much. We
All right.
always
Okay.
appreciate your time. We know you're a very busy person, but we always appreciate coming in and updating us and filling us in, Kathy. So we'll see you next month, and good luck with your mother's birthday coming up too. I know you
Thank
guys
you
are
so
preparing
much.
for that. So
We'll see you in
Thank you.
November. Bye, everybody.
thank you.
Bye.